Alrighty. Newspaper. This is what we're going to do for weed control in there. See the tomato plants, the gooseberry. The onions are coming up pretty good now. But around this area, around the tomatoes, lots and lots of weeds coming up around those beets and peas right there. So we are going to use newspaper for weed control. Even with the weeds already coming up, it works just fine. You just put it on top of it and it kills it. So what you do, you lay out your newspaper and soak it down. I probably like about 2-3 sheets thick, up to 6 sheets thick, and then just kind of spread it out up against your tomato plants or whatever you're putting it against. And then put some we got some Earthgro red mulch. You can use whatever color you want, compost, whatever. You can use peat moss, pretty much anything. You just put that on top of the newspaper to help hold it down, and then it'll suppress the weeds. And by fall, the newspaper's all broke down. So the newspaper will be all broke down in fall. The worms come up, eat it, and then the mulch or whatever you put on it, just make sure it doesn't have weed seed in it. You can just till that right into your garden, so you'll have more nutrients for the next growing season. But yeah, I did last year for the first time, and pretty much most of the newspaper was gone by fall. Eaten up by worms or just broken down by getting watered constantly. And alright, I will start soaking newspaper and start laying some out. This is what I do. I just lay out the sections of newspaper, and usually those big newspapers, they have perfect little sections in them. Got like 4 sheets, and then you just lay them out. Right there, there's like 4, 5, 6 layers right there. 8 layers, perfect. Soak them down, and then just lay them out there. All right, soaked them down. Now just let them sit for a minute or two so the water absorbs all the way through them, so it gets some weight to it. And then we'll start laying them down. And you just lay them around your plants. Alright, got a bunch of newspaper laid down. Got a couple of my tomatoes that actually got the cages around them, so I should have put the newspaper down first. But anyway, the ones that don't have cages around them, I put it right up against the base of them, underneath of my gooseberry. Then I will put some, I'm thinking, between the rows of my corn. But then you just right here, just like this, and then you put your compost or whatever else you want on there. Like I said, I use that mulch. It's $2 a bag at Home Depot right now, so. And then it breaks down perfect, and just till it right in. That's the really fine stuff, so it's not big chunks of bark. It's pretty fine stuff. Alright, newspaper's out, and I got some bark on there. There's some mulch. I am going to go get a couple more bags of the mulch. I like to try to make sure all the newspaper is covered up. And as long as you do around the outside edges and a little bit in the middle, since the growing season of weeds is usually only through June, then pretty much nothing else comes up. As long as you got the newspaper down for, May and June, then you're fine. But I will get a couple more bags and put on there because, like I said, you just till that mulch in the fall, and then it just starts breaking down and makes more nutrients for the next year. So it looks like I'll need 2 more bags. I put on 3, so 2 more bags, and that's a pretty good section. I could put the tomatoes a lot closer than that, but I kind of spaced them out a little bit this year, but that's all right. I have to get in there and either put some in between the peas and the beets, which I will probably do, so I'll probably need at least a bag of mulch for there. I got plenty of newspaper, so got lots of newspaper left. Get the newspaper, like at your local newspaper office, they usually have a recycle bin out in the back. And if you go back there, you can usually pull a bunch out of the recycle bin. They usually throw away whole newspapers. That's how I got all this. So, and they don't, it's free because it's just a recycle bin. So, and I just pull out a pile of it every spring, or last spring and then this spring, and just like this, and no weeds will grow, which makes it really nice. So I'll get a couple more bags, 3 more bags of mulch so I can do around the peas and stuff, and then I might do around the corn, but I don't have a lot of weeds growing around the corn, so probably not. I usually don't have very many weeds in that section of the garden. Over here I have lots, as you can see. So anyway, well, this is what the final product looks like. You can put more bark on if you want, or I don't have very much between the peas and the beets, and I thin the weeds around the beets. Now I just gotta pluck the weeds around the fence line, around the peas and my corn. I just got done hilling that this morning. Just use your hoe and pull up dirt from both sides of the rows. That way it gives the stalks extra support while they're growing. Those onions are growing pretty fast. A lot of weeds in between there, but did some weeding on this side this morning. Gooseberry plant's growing. But anyway, this saves you from having to keep weeding throughout the summer. And it gives you compost for next year to mix in when the growing season's over.